Canadian free speech hero Jordan Peterson is warning parents that their children are being brainwashed into accepting murderous notions at liberal controlled universities. You may not realize it, but you are currently finding some dangerous people, he said as an introduction to a 5-minute video created by PragerU. They are indoctrinating young minds across the West with a resentment laden ideology. The professor of psychology who earned a PhD at Montreal's McGill University has done postdoctoral research at Harvard University and taught at the University of Toronto since 1998. He states that there is a cabal of university lecturers who are determined to undermine Western civilization as we know it. They regard our civilization as corrupt, oppressive, and patriarchal. If you're a taxpayer or paying for your kid's liberal arts degree, you're underwriting this gang of nihilists, Peterson warned. If you're supporting ideologies who claim that all truth is subjective, that all sex differences are socially constructed, and that Western imperialism is the sole source of all third world problems, they're the postmodernists pushing progressive activism at a colleague near you, he continued. Peterson blamed the academic ideologues for mobs that violently shut down campus speakers, language police who enforce new transgender pronouns, and campus administration who strive to root out discrimination, where little or none exists. The problem began in the 1960s and 1970s when young radicals became the professors that teach today. Now students rack up enormous student debts, not to become educated, but to become acolytes of their mentors. As Peterson observes, it is now possible to earn a degree in English literature without reading the work of dead white male William Shakespeare. To understand and oppose the postmodernists, the ideas by which they orient themselves must be clearly identified, Peterson said. First, they include an unholy trinity of buzzwords: diversity, equity, and inclusion. Diversity does not apply to opinions, but ethnicity, race, and sexual identity. Equity is no longer about equal opportunity, but about equity of outcome. Inclusion involves the use of quota systems. All the classic rights of the West are to be considered secondary to these new values, Peterson said. Freedom of speech is particularly despised. Second, the ideologues also oppose the free market. They won't admit that capitalism has lifted up hundreds of millions of people so they can, for the first time in history, afford food, shelter, clothing, transportation, even entertainment and travel, stated Peterson. Thanks to capitalism, today even many we consider poor are able to meet their basic needs. The truth is not the same for such socialist holdouts like Venezuela. Third, they traffic in politics of identity, disregarding the uniqueness of an individual. They see him or her as an exemplar of his race, sex, or sexual preference, or even more limiting, as either a victim or an oppressor. Ideas about victimization do nothing but justify the use of power and engender intergroup conflict, Peterson says. The postmodernists' values originated with Karl Marx, whose economic and political theories caused several economies to fail and tens of millions of people to perish. We fought a decade-long Cold War to stop the spread of these murderous nations, he said, but they're back in the new guise of identity politics. Instead of being consigned to the trash can of history, Marx's ideas are being kept alive by the institutions that should be passing on the riches of Western achievement to every generation, he added. Unless we stop, postmodernism would not do to America and the entire Western world what it has already done to its universities, he concluded. Prager University, or PragerU, is the brainchild of talk show host Dennis Prager, founded to counter the left's stranglehold on American universities. The media organization produces one thought-provoking digital essay a week.